Oh, yeah. Good. Ah, fuck. Center it. Good morning, Roll Gang, and welcome on in to a fresh episode of
The Weekday Wake and Bake.
Let's go. I am one of your co-host producers, Processor Sky, joined by the superstar host and producer, my Rachel.
Happy to be here.
Happy
We've
as
got
well.
some great cannabis news to share today on Canna News Thursday.
Indeed we do. Canon News Thursday. Got the homie Banksy helping us to intro the show. And this one's going to be an absolutely legendary episode. Super excited to dive into the latest and greatest in cannabis industry news. But how are you doing this morning before we get on into it?
Doing good. Got the essentials. Well, I'm trying to get better at getting up in the morning.
It's hard.
Always been a huge struggle for me. So I've set a time that I want to be up by. I did it today. I spent some time outside first, which is what I wanted to do. So we're getting this routine down.
Yeah, honestly, super satisfying. It's our favorite routine to figure out how to, come and sesh with the Roll Gangsters every single weekday morning at 10 a.m. Pacific. You know exactly where to find us on the Rolling Spoon channels, on all of the streaming platforms. You know right where to find us, 10 a.m. Pacific. What do you say? Let's get this Canon News Thursday episode going officially.
Let's do it.
Word. I'm going to go ahead and roll up a nice joint of this GG number 4 for us to smoke while we dive into the latest and greatest. And while I roll up, Rachel with the shout out to the Roll Gangsters and all of the amazing sponsors of the show, right?
Of course. Yeah, first shout out to everyone watching. We really appreciate it. It means so much that you would want to spend just a little bit of your morning with us. Hopefully we bring some sort of encouragement or spark or something to help with the rest of your day. Hopefully you find this a little bit enjoyable. So that's our goal. Just a little bit,
Yeah, just a little bit. And the rejuvenating factor, because after all, we're just blessed to have awoke for another day, We have no idea how this day is going to go so far, but started off on the right foot with a nice smoke. With the homies with the Weekday Wake and Bake and all the Roll Gangsters. Get this day started off on the right foot, huh?
Yeah, of course. So shout out to the sponsors of the show, WWnB University, the first ever cannabis college. Great place to go. Get all of your cannabis knowledge. You can use promo code Rolling Spoon for 10% off of that tuition. Whatever one it is, it works on all of them, in person and online. So keep that in mind. And then, of course, shout out to the Rolling Spoon and the inventor, the great handy-dandy cannabis multi-tool that helps you seal the deal and roll a dime every time.
Every time.
Every time.
Just like your hosts on the Weekday Wake and Bake, I'm about to use my handy-dandy cannabis multi-tool to procure my Canny B. I have my joint paper right here. I have the cannabis in my grinder, so I'm going to use my handy-dandy rolling spoon to distribute the herb from the grinder to my paper. Just keeps it a little bit cleaner and more tidy and neat so that we don't have to make a mess and we can smoke all of the weed and no cat hair, because definitely got some cat hair all over my fucking paws. But also shout out to our proud alma mater, WWnB University. It's not just any cannabis college. It's the first ever cannabis college, Roll Gang. The Harvard of the cannabis industry. Call it the Hogwarts of the cannabis industry, actually. It's the official place to go to claim your stake in this budding industry. And like Rachel said, promo code Rolling Spoon, super handy, just like your multi-tool, to help you save 10% off your tuition at Oaksterdam University, the first cannabis college to boost your cannabis knowledge. As I lick and stick this and seal the deal, it's time to get into the cannabis industry news here on this Canna News Thursday.
Absolutely. So, our first story for this Canna News Thursday is cannabis decriminalization is officially on the ballot for San Antonio, Texas for a vote on Saturday.
Woo!
That's pretty huge.
Big vote day on Saturday in Texas. We got another city, a big city, San Antonio in Texas, with cannabis decriminalization on the ballot for vote this week.
That's pretty huge.
Yeah.
I mean, we've talked about Texas needing to do that before, so it's
Because
really...
Texas scary as fuck normally, right?
Yeah, but it's just nice to see that they're making progress.
That's big
or at least
progress.
They're trying to, yeah.
So decriminalization doesn't mean that it would become legal. It just means that cannabis consumption or possession would be a lot more like a speeding ticket or a parking ticket, you know. Pay it and move on. There's no more risk of being arrested or it causing significant problems in your life. Just, you know, step one is to decriminalize it. Mm-hmm. You know, stop trying to ruin people's lives for consuming cannabis. And San Antonio, on the right path.
Yeah, I mean, it's a start, definitely. It just gets the ball rolling and can hopefully get them talking about legalization after they maybe pass this through into action and then they see that it's the right call and then they maybe move over into, you know, legalizing it. So that's really good.
Yeah.
Shout out to San Antonio.
Fucking Texas rolling through. Not as scary to smoke in Texas. You said the vote's on Saturday?
Yeah.
Let's go. 2 days away from the big vote. We will definitely keep you posted on the results to that vote next Thursday on Canna News Thursday. Give you the results of Texas, San Antonio, Texas decriminalization vote that's going to take place on Saturday. Awesome news. What's the next piece we got running?
Next piece is a study conducted by the CDC shows teen cannabis use on a linear decline since 2013. It correlates directly with the legislation movement.
Yeah. So basically, the cannabis consumption in teens was rising and rising and rising till 2013 when the momentum began to shift and legislation was starting to popularize, you know? So cannabis in legal states have lower underage consumption than cannabis in illegal states. In other words, where you can legally buy and consume cannabis, it's actually harder to find underage cannabis consumption, which I think is a really cool piece of information in this study.
It definitely is, but my question is are those people just getting their products from, you know, people going into a dispensary and getting whatever they want and then giving it to the younger people, you know?
I don't think anymore, you know? So, like, states where it's legal, there's less usage, you know? So, like, probably the states with, like, the black market where you're still meeting people in a parking lot or under the bleachers, because those types of sales, they don't care how old their customer is or if their customer is going to pass it off. But you go into a dispensary and they want to make sure that you're buying product you're going to consume yourself. And I think it just makes it a little tougher to get the distribution to a teenager. But really good news that making cannabis legal doesn't make it easier for kids to get their hands on the products. You know what I mean?
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. And I mean, I think that's a really good look for it. You know, the fact that whenever legalization does happen, it tends to kind of like take away the excitement of it for the teens, and then
exactly,
you know, once they turn 21, they can go stop at a disco and then stop at the liquor store on the way back too if they really want.
Yeah. Honestly, I think it's a really big moment of truth for the cannabis industry. A lot of people were worried about legalizing cannabis because they didn't want their kids to get a hold of it. But, you know, studies conducted by the CDC, you know, the, what does CDC stand for? Center for Disease Control, on their youth study this year, determining that, you know, cannabis legislation doesn't mean your kids are going to have more access to the plant. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's even a little sketchy. I don't even think there are harms of consuming cannabis at a young age. I don't actually believe that there's any proof of stunting the growth or brain development. But
I think that there's a certain point where they should be able to choose for themselves. But, like, I would never allow my 12-year-old or 13-year-old son or daughter, they were like, hey, Mom, I really want to start to get into cannabis. I'd be like, we can talk about that later on in the future. But
well, like, I would. If, like, my 12-year-old daughter was, like, came up to me crying and was like, I'm just super anxious at school.
But that's
and I'm trying to figure out.
I said it depends. But like, if they're just like, a lot of other people are doing it and I just want to see what it feels like. It feels cool. I'd be like, well, maybe you should look into why you want to do it then. Because I don't think like a peer pressuring type of thing, like everyone else is doing it, so they want to do it. If they genuinely had something like anxiety or some type of
depression
or
PTSD,
anything that it could help manage symptoms or something, then of course I'd be all in for it. But like,
I'm the type, I want my kids to consume with me for the first time. Like, I don't want them to rebel and accidentally, like, since they don't think they can tell us about, like, wanting to consume cannabis, like, I want them to feel open about saying that, because I don't want them to go out somewhere they're uncomfortable and try it.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, I would never want them to try it for the first time in a setting where they're not comfortable or, like, they snuck out or something. I definitely want them to have a good experience with it when and if they decide to try it.
Yeah. But, like, craziness, you know, cannabis is not easier to get for people in legal states. Really fucking great news. New study by the CDC. We got 2 more cannabis industry news stories to share with y'all, but gotta give a major shout out to the Rolling Spoon Cannabis Multi-Tool, helping me to roll a dime every time on every episode of the Weekday Wake and Bake. I got a no filter one over here burning right now. And then also the first ever cannabis college where Rachel and I gained all of our cannabis knowledge. WWnB University, established 15 years ago and still running the premium, predominant place to gain your cannabis knowledge at the first ever cannabis college, WWnB University. What's the next piece of industry news we got pumping?
So, Pennsylvania lawmakers file bill to sell cannabis at state-run storefronts.
So, like, all those state-run liquor stores and tobacco stores that already control age and, check ID, sell some type of controlled substance, they're trying to pass this legislation that would allow cannabis to be sold at all of those retailers as well.
So, I'm confused. So the state runs the store?
Like state mandated stores, if you will. Somewhere where the state has to...
Approve, basically?
Yeah.
Like state approved ones, okay.
Yeah, where they have to come in and check on everything, going properly. Like, An alcohol
It's
store
just
isn't like a Dollar Tree. Like, state officials has to come into the alcohol store and ensure that everything is like...
Yeah, it's just like when I don't know, I forget what they were called, but people would come into where he was bartending and like be like a secret shopper almost, and like make sure everything's running up to code and bartenders aren't taking shots behind the bar, stuff like that. So, I mean, I think that's huge. I think that's definitely for Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
I mean, they need some love and accessibility up there.
Yeah, it's really tough, really expensive. For those of you that don't know, Rachel and I met in Pennsylvania. We fell in love in Pennsylvania. And honestly, it'll always hold a deep place in our hearts for sure. Would love to see our family's hometowns currently, go legal on a plant that is really making a massive change in health, in the economy, and just in the morale of the country overall. Because this industry news is always so momentous, We've got some really big pieces of news here. Yeah, and definitely. We got one more. Certainly not least. It's a big time study.
Ready?
Yeah.
Okay. It says new University of Colorado study shows cannabis helps cognition and pain management in chemo patients. There's actually a show that is on Netflix called Firefly Lane where she ends up developing a form of breast cancer, and then she gets a medical card and stuff, and she said on the show that it really helps with her nausea and all the other stuff. I mean, that's a show, obviously, but it shows
it's really it's ruthless to cancer. Cannabis is not kind to cancer, and honestly, I couldn't be more proud. Mm-hmm. It's been known, RSO has been known to decrease tumor growth, stop tumor growth, even decrease the size, has been the weapon to put cancer patient into remission. But honestly, if you don't believe in cannabis to help alone, the most effective drug that we've developed to fight cancer is chemotherapy. Except chemo's harsh, right?
Yeah. So,
cannabis showing that it can be a natural remedy for the side effects of chemo, the nausea, the flightiness of brain, the cognition, the pain. Study by the University of Colorado showing that cannabis is an effective counterpart in fighting cancer with chemotherapy. Call it Canna Chemo, one of the newest weapons to fight cancer. And honestly, makes me so fucking proud and honored to be a part of this budding industry. Mm-hmm. Showing so promising in so many areas, but the most ruthless killer in my lifetime isn't any serial killer. It's definitely been cancer in my life. And, marauding for something that proves to be beneficial in so many different aspects, including cancer treatment, I could not be happier to provide this natural remedy to people seeking options, and what a banger.
And I just think, if I was in that position, I would want to be able to take something to kind of help me switch my mindset on things and maybe, just to even feel better and everything. And that's definitely what cannabis can provide for them. So that's huge. And I hope that those patients get access to the products that they need.
Oh, in Colorado, they are. But we gotta get it worldwide for sure. Yeah. So, we are going to be sitting here with the Roll Gangsters every weekday morning at 10 a.m. until it is. keeping you updated every Thursday on how far the ball has rolled in the past week of cannabis legislation and cannabis studies, because today and every Thursday is Canna News Thursday, breaking down the latest and greatest in cannabis industry news with my beautiful co-host, Authentic Rach, the greatest to do it. Absolutely appreciate you reading off, being such a emblem of light and passion every weekday morning. All the Roll Gangsters, absolutely gangsters in and of themselves. Every single one of you guys tuning in on all the streaming platforms. Love you sincerely. Want to close out the show? Give out a little...
Thank you just so much for watching. We'll be back tomorrow for pop culture news. I'm excited about it. I like Fridays, so.
Yeah.
We'll
That's
see you
a fun
tomorrow
one.
at 10 a.m.
Mwah. Love you, Roll Gang. Yo, shout out to Ty Hudson. Greetings from the airport.
Hi, Ty.
Project Trichome. My boy, dope show. Yo, rolled through the shop yesterday. Shout out, major shout out, the chat champ. Project Trichome. We got Sky Is in the chat. You know, all the Roll Gangsters. Love you guys so much. Mwah. See y'all tomorrow.